Hello there.
Hi guys, how are you? Where's our speaker today? Oh, there you are. Hi, Renee.
Well, hello there.
How are you, darling?
Excited for today. What about you?
I am super excited, but I'm a little backpedaling because I was back to back to back to back today, and I didn't have a chance to read your resume. So I'm gonna have to read it because I can't talk from the heart because I didn't have a chance to read it.
It's okay. It's all right.
Or,
Don't worry.
or I might have to ask you to officially introduce yourself and tell the world your credentials.
I can do that as well. I'm prepared. I may know that story.
I know, probably, right? Hold on, I just got it, and oh my gosh, it's very long. Okay, so I think I'll just leave it up to you.
I love it.
So how about we start right at the hour, and then as everybody's coming in, this is recording, Renee, and we have our own private YouTube channel that we put everything in there. Hi, Redek, all the way from Poland. You have someone all the way from Poland listening to you. So let's talk about why price reductions are not a marketing plan. I love it. Teach us that. But if you don't mind, please, besides the fact that you're an amazing human, you're one of the first agents that I met at EXP and a multiple icon and a team leader, and you live in Florida and our kids are the same age and all that. Right? It's like I really don't know your numbers and credentials. So if you don't mind, would you start with that?
Absolutely, I will. And thank you, GoGo, for having me. It's an honor to share some time with all of you, especially all the way from Poland as well. I mean, oh my goodness.
Is that cool?
It's
Yeah, hi
super cool.
guys.
Hi.
You won't see me much today. I'm fighting with a flu, so I'm just
Oh,
in bed listening to you. So
feel better. And it's
Feel
thank
what,
you.
7 o'clock for you at night?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's dedication. Go, Renee.
That is dedication. I'm going to share my screen. Let me get on presentation mode so that you have a few visuals. And please don't worry, everything that is shared here, you all will have access to. If you'd like the slide deck, I can send that over. I do have a checklist, which if I hadn't already included it in my email, go to your assistants. I'll make sure you have it because I'm going to refer to it here, but y'all can have it, rip off, duplicate, have fun. My
Awesome.
name is Renee Funk. I am a professional speaker and trainer, and I get to coach and train agents throughout this amazing industry that we all get to be a part of. Real estate has truly transformed not just my life, but the lives of so many. It is one of the few industries that allows us seemingly endless ability to earn income and to grow a business. And obviously, GoGo is the perfect example of just that. It's building freedom, building multiple streams of income. And I'm proud to be able to say that I'm an 8-time icon agent at eXp Realty. Have been with eXp for 8 years. I am an exactly what to say certified guide, which means I'm one of a very few people around the world that gets to train the work of exactly what to say by Phil M. Jones. If you have not read this book yet, highly recommend. Exactly what to say has been transformative for many agents. And as GoGo refers to, I am the former team leader of the Funk Collection. GoGo, you may not know, but over the last couple of months, I am evolving my role and get to delegate the team operations day to day to a team operations individual. And I get to build out speaking and training as the next true level of business in my world. So I'm super excited for that and
Oh,
grateful to be a part.
congratulations. I did not know that. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
grown up, huh?
All grown up, as some of the friends in the industry will say, is like, oh, okay, so you're not in that team leader role anymore. I am the co-owner of the team and transitioning from team leader. So this is yet another example of please never allow a ceiling to be put over your head. There is no such thing. And if anyone ever tells you that, which I know not in this room, uh, maybe we're sitting at the wrong table. One of the ways that I start every meeting that I lead, every training that I lead, is a reminder that I bet you're a bit like me and you're getting pulled in 9,000 different directions. Gogo, you mentioned at the start of this that you're back to back to back. We all feel it, right? Like this darn thing is going to ring 30,000 times. You guys are getting pulled, and we have kids and family, and it's December, and you probably have all the fires going on. And yet, anytime that you're in a class, Give yourself the permission to remember that your presence is a gift. It's a gift to you. It's a gift to those that are attending with you. And if you ever feel that pull of saying, golly, I'm feeling like I'm getting pulled in a million different directions, a little pro tip is look where your feet are. Because where your feet are, you made a choice to be here. And if you need to move your feet, that's okay. But give yourself the next 40 minutes to be fully present, and GoGo and I will do the same thing for you as well. We're here to talk about price reductions not being marketing. We're here to talk about listing strategies. And first, I lead with a question. Drop it into chat or feel free to open your mic. What is an obstacle facing listing agents? What obstacles are you seeing in your market? And I think I just lost my chat box. So while you guys drop it into chat. I think I just lost my chat box. But you know what? Core value, agile, let me get it back.
I know, right? Don't you love it?
I love it. It's okay. You know what I love about being in a room like this is you'll get it every once in a while. You get a little tech glitch. It's all right. I'm going to hop back onto sharing screen, and I think I have the chat now. Where are you? There we go. All right. So GoGo says price reductions, right? That's one. And what else are we seeing out in the industry as it relates to listings? Are you seeing an acceleration of days on market?
I
Are you
wanted to say
seeing,
sitting on the market.
and what else are you all seeing? Are you seeing price reductions? Accelerated number of active listings? Days on market? Yes. And whether you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent, this impacts you. You represent buyers and you're out showing buyers. You too are impacted with navigating strategically how to position your buyers in the best strategic position. And also, how do you have these tough conversations with sellers who maybe feel that their property is the same home valuation as 2022? Has anyone seen that as well? I see Evelyn says prices are all over the place in the same communities. GoGo says no multiple offers anymore. Some, where it depends on the market. I'm hearing some agents may be seeing multiple offers. There's a few here in Orlando where I come to you from right now. We've had a few listings that have seen multiple offers. However, we use some different strategies, which I'm going to share with you. And first, let's unpack how important are communications as a professional sales pro? How important on a scale of 1 to 10? Drop it in chat. Christy says 10. Yes. Christy, you're my kind of girl. Evelyn says 10. Chandra, 10. GoGo, 10. Yes, some of us could probably argue communications as a pro are out of a scale of 1 to 10, 20. 20 importance. The smart communicator is who navigates difficult scenarios. In fact, a study was done in 2025 through exactly what to say in a company called CGK, which is a critical conversations in the workplace study. You all, GoGo, are only the second group who've ever received any of the knowledge from this study. In fact, I just spoke at Austin AHA last week and shared it with them for the first time. So GoGo's team is only the second time this has been shared. 85% of working Americans think that leaders should be held to a higher standard for communication and preparation. Buyer's agents, we're talking to you. Listing agents, I know we're here to talk about price reductions. This applies to everyone. You see, you're all a leader, we're all leaders, and we are held to a higher standard as to how we communicate and how we prepare. Speaking of how we prepare, the worst time to think about the thing you are going to say is in the moment you are saying it. 82% of working Americans say there is a time in their lives when they wish they could have that one conversation to do over again. That too has probably happened to the best of us. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and said, oh, dang it, if only I had said this instead? It's happened, right? Now, maybe in 2021 and 2022 is enough to earn the job. Let's all face it. The real estate market in 2021, 2022, and even some of 2023, not much skill required. Deals were flowing in, listings were flowing in. Listing agents, tell me if this sounds familiar. You would acquire a listing on a Monday, Tuesday. You would list it on a Thursday, activate the listing on Thursday. By Wednesday, or excuse me, by Sunday night, you'd have a spreadsheet with 37,000 offers that you'd have to sift through with your seller, and you'd be to contract on Monday. Does that sound about right? That was in a season that we could earn the job. We had to earn the relationship, earn the job. And then there really wasn't that much skill. If we're calling it what it is, it was rapid market and it didn't require much skill. Long gone are those days. In fact, what we're all a part of now, the season we're in, I know GoGo, you've been doing this a long time too. We are getting older, GoGo, even though we don't want to admit it. We are now in what is probably more of a normalizing season, which is you earn the job, you keep the job. Both require different levels of skill. And what many are seeing in the industry, and certainly the agents that I train, is a bunch of real estate agents who are acquiring listings, and we call them listing collectors. You probably see this in your market. An agent who just collects the listings because the agent wants the sign in the ground. It's probably an overpriced listing. And then that agent who collects listings somewhere inside their strategy says, well, I'll just beat down the seller later. And all I'll do is be a one-trick pony and say, price reduce, price reduce, price reduce. Could it be possible that all of that is avoidable if we isolate some of the critical conversations at the listing consultation kitchen table? Yes, it is. And that is where we keep the job. As a team leader, oh, got to practice saying former GoGo. It's okay. I'm evolving. Evolving is good. One of the core focuses is being better than your fee. If you bring away only one thing from our time together today, I want you to write this down. Be better than your fee. You see, the beautiful thing when you're better than your fee and when you're obsessed with being better than your fee, this magical thing happens. You improve the service you provide, you improve your communications in the service you provide, and you improve your fee. Since regulations change in 2024, many agents have decided that there's a negativity around regulations change. Maybe this is my hot take, but I will insert opinion here. The regulations change was one of the biggest opportunity grabs for the real estate industry, and the regulations change for the Smart Pro improve the service that they provide their sellers. It improves the service they provide the consumer. Specifically here in Orlando with the Funk collection, the team has experienced a 33% increase in gross commission income since August of 2024. How is that possible? Because we obsess on these two lines. And what I'm sharing with you today is a little snippet, because I only have you for about 45 minutes, of a training class that's a listing strategy training class I do over a 12-week period where we go super deep on how you obsess over better than your fee. But I'm going to bring all the best stuff today. And my hope is that you really put some thoughtful thought into what is most important to the consumer. What are 3 reasons clients fire agents? Poor communication, lack of attention and support, and unmet expectation. You know what the tricky thing with all 3 of those items are? Is that they can be quite subjective. So when you ask real estate agents, are you a good communicator? Most agents will say, yes, I am. And yet 91% of realtors prefer to communicate with clients via text. And there's an NAR study that shows that that preference to communicate via text may not align with your client's preferences. A nudge to you all. When was the last time you asked a prospect as you're entering into client mode, so on the list side before you sign that listing agreement, GoGo, I look forward to earning your business. I can't wait to list and sell your property. How do you prefer to be communicated with? Do you prefer text? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer in person, over the phone? Now, bring it up a notch and ask them, when you are receiving and assessing data and important updates, how do you like to receive that information? You see, because most agents just go, here's your CMA, and they send the information. They lose control of the situation because they just send information. So I'm going to have you remember this stat. Not all clients prefer text messages.
I used to call them right after, be like, hey, your CMA is in your inbox. Do you want me to explain you the numbers or you got this? And it's like, oh
Smart.
no, walk us through it, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, open it up. Should be the last email you just got. I'm like, okay, look on line 37, look on this page, look on the whatever. I'm like, so these are the numbers, how you feel about it, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? I always over communicated, especially in the period of time where we were just waiting on the appraisal. There's that 2 week period, and it's awkward because up until that point, you talk to them all the time. We were like best friends. And then now we're just sitting and it's crickets for 2 weeks, right? So I used to give him a call right after the appraisal was ordered, and I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know I'm not dropping the ball. I'm not forgetting you. This is that awkward period. We're literally just sitting and waiting on an appraiser to give us the numbers. Do you want me to call you every day so you still know I'm thinking of you? Or or you
See,
get if I call, yeah, or
that's
you get if I call you when we got the report, right?
That's brilliant because what you're doing is you're knocking out an objection. And
Yeah.
actually, Gogo, it's like you knew what this training was going to be today because
Oh, really?
later on, there's a slide which we'll just call it out what it is now is no update is an update. GoGo knew that a critical conversation that shows up on repeat with her clients is that there's an awkward period where that consumer, which you need to prove that you can keep your job, is wondering what the heck's going on? Why was this communication so rapid? And now there's this oddity. GoGo puts that on the table. She normalizes it and she says, but I can still call you every day if you'd like, or your version of that. Right. So go back to these pesky text messages that I know all agents love. Here's another stat. 60% of working Americans say that a misunderstood text message has cost them hours of pain and distraction. Hours. Now, Gogo, something else I know about you is you are laser focused on efficiency. How much can hours of distraction cost the average agent? It's enough that we all want to like go, oh no, like maybe go, oh, we don't want to, yeah, right? So like let's just slow down the process a little to speed up the outcome.
And also through conversations, I feel like you get to know their personalities and they get to know yours, right? So when you befriend them through the process, then when you get to that uncomfortable of like, oh, the buyer is not budging on the roof being replaced, right? Then they are not going to yell your head off because you're friends by that time, right? You're going to be like, okay, let me see what I can, let me see if I can, let me see if, you know what I mean? So then it's a conversation versus a, and then try that, like talking about the uncomfortable text message, try that with an accent and a text to talk.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? So that just not, it was never really an option for me. Yeah.
Well, good thing that technology is advanced. I'm pretty sure that you can text to talk into AI just fine now. And by the way, your accent is beautiful, so we love it. If you're, and you know what, I want to share one thing about what GoGo just said is GoGo, did you all notice how GoGo was referring to she earns the relationship, she makes sure she's protecting the rapport with her clients, which is that goes deeper over time, right? And there's a saying that agents can and should have. It's that the agent, the client, and the market, those are three entities. They should be aligned like this tightly through the whole process. They need to be tightly aligned. And the way we do that is being in great rapport, which text messages and emails are a tool in our tool chest. They're not relationship building tools. The only way you earn and build stronger rapport is being on conversations that are two-way dialogues, conversations in phone, on Zoom, in person. It doesn't happen when we just do what's called a data dump, which I'm about to talk about in a moment. Real quickly, I think this is about the end of my studies that I share with you all, but you know what? I'm on a mission to gain agents who awareness to the importance of communication. If we look at everything happening with AI, all the doomsday conversations, right? Here's the end of the story with it. The agent who focuses on communications, the human connection to protect avoiding this number one trait that Mike Del Prete shares, which is the consumers feel that the number one trait of a realtor is lack of responsiveness. When you have human connection, doesn't matter what technology exists. you will continue to thrive and win. If you're not following Mike Del Preti, I highly recommend you do. He's a great data analyst. He's based out of Boulder. He's not affiliated with a brokerage. He is obsessed and very focused on assessing data within the real estate industry for brokerages and the actual market. This was a recent study that Mike Del Preti had done when he interviewed hundreds and hundreds of sellers throughout the United States and said, tell me about your experience listing your homes. And this was the negative trait number one that he found through his study is lack of responsiveness. You know, what's tough about lack of responsiveness is it's also subjective because I'm guessing, GoGo, when you and I ask every agent, are you responsive to your client? They're going to say yes. And yet what we're faced with is in the industry is a sea of sameness. Being focused on when you see all the ways that agents communicate, whether it's public remarks in your MLS, whether it's all the emails, whether it's, you know what I have right here? This is a little off this, but it's still listing related. I'm going to show you what I have right here. A little off script here. This is an envelope. I'm not showing you the whole thing because I'll tell you what it is in a second. It's filled with postcards from other real estate agents. This is a little pro tip. Collect every postcard that competing agents mail to you. And if you have family members, it doesn't matter where they live, ask them to collect them too. The reason being is this is from a dear client of ours we've worked with for 20 years. They're like a second set of grandparents for our kids. They own homes in Texas, in Orlando, where we are, and also in California. And this dear client, she'll come visit and she'll say, I have all the flyers that I received from other agents from all three of my properties. Why does that matter to me? Because number one, there's a consumer hat lesson. I get to look at it and see what other agents are doing with their listings. I get to feel the quality of paper that they're using. I get to see the messaging. I get to see everything about what they're sending. And here's what happens when you look at that. I throw it in the corner and I say it's a sea of sameness. It is a sea of sameness. Every agent is saying exactly the same thing. They're using the exact same scripts, and it's all, quite frankly, nonsense. Another nudge to you all is where you see a sea of sameness, study it, and then say to yourself, I'm going this way. So if the sea of sameness is all going this way, you go left. If they're going right, you go left, and you stand out when your authentic self, you sound like you, and you never mind what everyone else is doing because they're just all stuck together with nothing that makes them look unique. I'm going to give you some tactical takeaways here. And again, don't worry, you can screenshot it. You'll have the recording. I'll give you the slide deck, all the things. Simple swaps. What you say matters. Words like listing agreement, stop saying that. Start saying listing paperwork. If you've ever found yourself driving through a neighborhood, even when you're representing buyers and you say to the buyers, I sold that home, I sold that home, I sold that home, switch it. I helped the Smith family acquire that home. I helped Bob and Sue acquire that home. Oh, Michelle and John, they acquired this property. I helped them find it. Their kiddos go to a new school down the street. Think differently. Don't say you're going to start your listing. You're going to activate the marketing. And here's one, I got to get on a soapbox because a lot of us over the time of our careers have done this. I used to do it too. Please, please stop saying my listing. Please stop saying my team. Please stop saying my client. It's the listing. It's the team. It's the client. How does your buyer feel when you refer to it as my buyer, as opposed to when you're walking in with a buyer, and if the co-op agent is there, the listing agent, you can say, hey, GoGo, nice to see you. Thank you for meeting us to view this home today. Here's the buyers, Bob and Sue. Changes things up, right? Also makes you sound differently. Few other simple swaps. Please stop asking your prospects, what's your budget? Rather, say something simple like, what is your preferred price range? Specifically with sellers, we've all been on a first call with a prospect. Seller calls and says, I'm thinking about selling my house at 123 Banana Street. The seller wants you to go first as the agent and say what you think the home price should be. Really, in that first call, every listing agent just wants the seller to say, well, what are you thinking? How much are you thinking it's going to sell for? And then here we are, we're at like this checkmate. Nobody wants to say anything. Instead of saying, what's your bottom line or what do you think it's going to sell for? You ask this question so that it disarms their hesitancy. At what price are you no longer a seller? That's it. Hey, there's a range. We're going to go over it when we meet in person. Once I can see your property, there are computer generated valuations all over the internet. That's a data point, not the data point. The data point comes to light when I lay my eyes on the product, when we have a conversation. So just out of curiosity, at what price are you no longer a seller? All sorts of depth we can go into about feedback. I'm a believer that no feedback is feedback. I think that agents spin their wheels constantly trying to acquire feedback, and it's just a moot point. More recently, there's been some lawsuits around that. So you can go deep in that debate over feedback. Ultimately, if you're going to be an agent who asks for feedback, please refrain from saying, can you share showing feedback? And think of different questions like, how does the home you viewed compare to others you've seen? If you're calling an agent and you said, you showed my property at 123 Banana Street, ask the agent specifically what other homes you saw, of the homes you saw that day, how does this one compare to others? What you do is you make a psychological switch and you get them thinking differently. It doesn't work to just say, can you send me showing feedback? What's your timeline? Terrible question. Rather, ask questions like, how important is it to be in the home by the holidays? Hey, can you believe it, prospect? We found ourselves at December 3rd. We've discussed previously around possibly the beginning of the year. If I were to find you the perfect home that has A, B, and C feature that we discussed, and that home hit the market before Christmas and New Year, would you consider that? Or are we aiming more toward end of January, beginning of February? That's how smart pros get more information. That's how smart pros get the other individual to start talking differently. A few more simple swaps. Let's take a look at what the buyers chose this week and why that matters. This is how you're talking to your sellers. Are you open-minded to walk through the comps together? Like GoGo said, do you want to look at it together? Specifically, let's look at line item ABC and this data point so you can see and understand what I see. This is where agents show their screen, show them the data. Don't just tell them the data. Remember back in kindergarten, it was show and tell, right? It wasn't show and walk away. Here you go. It was show and tell. I like to say show and talk, show and dialogue, because what they're really investing in with you is insight. Pick up your phone right now. Guess what? ChatGPT has all the data. The internet had all the data for years and years and years. Now it's even more accessible. Consumers are not looking for more data, they have it. What you're going to earn big bucks for, what you're going to earn more business from is by you giving your educational insight. And that's by showing them and walking through. So you're in a dialogue with what you see in the market. And then here's what the market is trying to tell us. And here are 3 strategies we can respond with rather than anyone else on this call have this type of inbound call from a seller. Hey, I'm on the market with another agent right now. I'm ready to fire my agent because they don't communicate with me. And when they do, all they do is tell me they want a price reduce. I'm interviewing other agents. We're seeing it here in Orlando. We've inbounded a notable number of listings from sellers that are like, hey, I got a one-trick pony agent that all they talk about is price reductions. This one line right here will change it for you. Get strategic. The market is telling us this, and here are 3 different strategies we can respond together with. No one trick pony. All right, I mentioned a few moments ago about data dump versus data dialogue. This is the point in this chat that I'm going to allow you to roll your eyes at me because I'm about to give you a perspective that a lot of agents roll their eyes at me, and it's okay. I have thick skin. Some agents adopt and some agents choose not to. And I will say that this is one of those things where the sea of sameness is going to the right. And there's a few pros that are saying, never mind that sea of sameness. Customers don't need any more data sent to them blindly. They need you to be in a data dialogue with them. And how do we do that? First, I want you to remember that 65% of all consumers are visual and auditory learners. They need it in combination. So GoGo's strategy of sending it and immediately calling and saying, hey, I just hit the button, it's in your inbox, let's go over it right now. That is her strategy that is smart because she's appealing to both of these. She gave a visual and she's audibly there to go back and forth. Never has this been more important. Go ahead,
And
GoGo.
also, I think there's another part to that, right? It's like, especially if you're so far apart in price, let's say, right? They want to list their 3 bedroom, 2 bed shed for $1 million, and you still want to get the listing, but you don't want to get it at a million because you know there's no chance in how you're ever going to sell it for $1 million. If I'm explaining you the numbers and I'm starting with the comms, then I'm guiding the conversation.
Yep.
I am
You're
showing you what's in the market. I am showing you what sold recently. And now you would be super dumb to still pull those numbers out of your back pocket to be like, well, but I think, doesn't matter what you think. I'm showing you the numbers. So I am guiding the conversation when I'm showing the comps and explaining the comps. So then you're more in control of where you want the final end result to be. So you're not going to be night and days apart.
100%. So much of what you just shared is on point. It's like GoGo's done this before. And when we think about GoGo, you said a few things, as you said, you're in control. So there's four cornerstones to conversational excellence. I'll just go over one that you just covered, and that's that the person asking the question controls the conversation. Okay, I'll give you two. Curiosity is the fuel for great conversations. So when GoGo's presenting the information, go back to show and talk. She's also showing the information while she's in curiosity to ask the seller, what do you see in what I see? Another thing I heard GoGo share, which is critical, you all, this is something you should write down, is please eradicate the word I think. Now, GoGo referred to it as, well, the seller will say, I think. And sellers will say, I think this. One of the biggest ways that sales pros give away their power is by starting off by saying, I think your home is worth. I think the next step should be. No, 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 no. I think the home is worth X. You're going to determine pricing that's strategy to activate the listing based on the numbers of the market, not what the seller thinks and not what the agent thinks. So write down, I think, and then cross it out. Get rid of it. No more I thinking. Remind yourself that if you use the word the words I think, you're diminishing your power. Okay? So that's a little like off script, but GoGo, you drop all the bombs too here. You're like, oh, it's like yeah, it's like you knew what we were talking about today. I don't know. And GoGo didn't even have everything in advance.
Well, no, I haven't seen this, but I come from the era. Sounds like my parents back in my age, right? But I come from the era when price reduction was like the thing, right? Like I had to learn how to hold these conversations. I had to learn how to justify the numbers. I had to learn how to run a meaningful CMA, and I've never gave them the numbers until I saw the house. And I feel like that's one of the other reasons, right? Because of course, to them, memories have value. To you, you're gonna walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a pink bathtub that's like in the ground, 6 inches deep, grandma special, with yellow shag carpet in the bathroom. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to see the condition. And then when I'm doing the CMA and I'm guiding the conversation, I'm gonna be like, look at this updated bathroom. How much do you think? Not only how much do you think updating the bathroom, I probably would already get 3 quotes to show them that upgrading a bathroom that yours is compared to this one, it's going to cost $30,000, right? So now I am showing you that if you still want to get that $1 million, you have 2 options. Reduce it by 30,000 so they can upgrade the bathroom, or upgrade the bathroom because this is your competition. So you can literally guide that conversation and remove yourself from ever having to have the pricing conversation because you just show the data. Research shows.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about this is that then the seller will say, "Oh, that comp property you're showing me with my eyes, this bathroom is, say it's a primary bathroom, is fully updated, and the subject property, that's what we call their property, it's subject property, is not updated." Oh, okay, so in order, they will come up with the price.
You know what I used to use against them? I
What?
would put their property on the screen and this other property, right, that is very, very apple to comms, but better condition or whatever. And I said, okay, so you have to think about that this is going to be your number one competition. So when we go live on the market, it's going to be your house versus this house. This house is $100,000 cheaper. Which one would you buy?
Yes, you're putting them in the buyer seat. It's so
Would
smart.
you still buy your house? Would you buy
Yes.
your house for $100,000 more? Because this one is on the market available. If you were on the market, which one would you buy? It's so easy. Then they'll convince themselves, like, oh,
See, but most agents are just sending CMAs and going like hope and a prayer. To this day, I will go out there again and remind you all, I've said it before, I'll say it again, CMAs are dead. All these like pretty software programs, they're dead. The agent who wins is the agent who's in dialogue, who sits down with their prospect or client and says, let's take a look together, which is, this goes back to where you're going to roll your eyes at me. Oh, shock and awe. The Funk Collection here in Orlando, we do all of our seller updates either in person or on Zoom, mostly on Zoom. Now, I do understand I have a little sense of entitlement here because about 50% of our annual production is from investment properties, short-term rent. We do a lot in the short-term rental communities around Walt Disney World. I'm in Windermere specifically, so I can hear Walt Disney's train when I walk my dog every day. Like, that's how close we are. And our customers and clients are very adjusted to Zoom. When 2020 hit and everybody went to Zoom, we had like really no issues. We adopted a lot of even listing consults on Zoom. So this is where you roll your eyes at me, and I'll tell you that when you leave the listing consultation, you're at the kitchen table. You've earned and acquired the listing. You probably have a script that sounds a little something like this. I look forward to working with you, our assistant, or I'll get in touch with you to schedule the photography. We have a go to market date, activating the marketing on X date. One more thing. Most sellers have found great value in me carving out a 15-minute time block on your calendar so that I give you weekly updates. Now, here's how I do things differently as your pro. You probably notice I use the word pro a lot here because we're not agents, we're sales pros. You want to stand out, you be a listing pro. You talk about your competition, you say stereotypical agent. Another simple swap. Stereotypical agent, sales pro, listing pro. You can turn it into your town. I'm the Windermere listing pro. Here's the stereotypical agent. Very big difference because you're elevating yourself. So many of the clients I've worked with in this neighborhood have found great value in 15 minutes on the calendar. I'm going to go ahead and book those out for the next 4 weeks. I know we'll probably get it done sooner, but let me go ahead and grab those 15 minutes. Do not leave the table without 15 minutes for the next 4 weeks auto added to their calendar. Now, way I do things differently as your pro is I'm going to meet you on a Zoom or a Google Meets. I don't need you to turn your camera on. Don't worry. I don't care if you have makeup on or not. No excuses. All I care is that you see what I see. And we show up just like I'm showing up in this class for you, GoGo, on a Zoom, and we share our screen and we go over these. Now, what are these? This is not digging our head in the sand. We are not a group. GoGo community is not a group that you're going to go, oh my gosh, nothing changed in the last 7 days. So I'm not going to update them, because no update is an update. Even if you meet in your weekly update and you say, wow, no changes in any of the 7 data points that we review, you still say there's no update. What are the top 2 overlooked data points right now that you need to be obsessed with? Data number 1. Who knows what a failed listing is? Anyone know what a failed listing is? I'll give you a little hint. It has to do with expireds.
I wanted to say didn't sell.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Failed listings is a way that you can pull together 2 lanes of data. First lane, expireds, canceled, withdrawn, or whatever status is relative to your MLS. That means seller went to market and then had to pull it from the market. I know we have so many different locations on this call. So whatever your statuses are relative to it went to market to active status, and then the seller had to choose or chose to pull it. You might even include temporarily off market. They're so far failing. That's one of the lanes. You want to assess the failed listing data. many agents I train right now have not looked at failed listing data in their MLS relative to either their comparable market for their sellers or even just the market they serve. If you haven't looked, you need to look. You need to leave this class and immediately get into your MLS because of this fact. Most markets are seeing 30 to 40% failed listings. Now, in the market the Funk collection serves, we're very heavily rooted in Windermere, especially in the higher end market, so north of $1 million. The failed listing percentage is as high as 40%. That means 4 out of 10 sellers had to quit. How sad when we lead with empathy in that. Now I can juxtaposition it and say very proudly the Funk collection has 0% failed listings in 2025 because of the strategies we teach. 0%. That's fun going to listing consults and just saying, GoGo, talk about share your screen. Here's the failed listings. Here's the team's listings. Which lane do you want to be in? It's very easy. The next thing you can review as a data is you could take your failed listings and you can incorporate actives. So you could say, here's the failed listings that are no longer on the market. That's probably going to land 30 to 40% of every listing that you look at over the last 90 days. Most markets are seeing that. Now let's also pool together and add to the percentage which ones haven't sold so far. Because in one way or another, especially the ones that are overpriced, they are failing. They haven't failed yet. Now all of a sudden you take data and what you're doing is you're talking to your seller about, my job as your pro is to keep you out of that pool. If it's 40%, if it's 50%, when you add those actives, whatever the number is, I'm hired by sellers in Windermere who want to list and sell their property to avoid this pool. We put you over here, simply. So that's the number one overlooked data. Next overlooked data point. When you're talking to your sellers, it's critical that you review the active to pending status changes over the last 7 days. Now, here's the words that you use. This is where we don't do sea of sameness around here. We think differently. Sellers, let's take a look at what buyers chose the last 7 days over the subject property. Remember, the subject property is their house. When we talk to sellers, it's a property or a house, it's not a home. When we talk to buyers, it's a home. We start that visual, either disassociation or association. When we talk to sellers who are on the market with us, that are probably having a glass of wine at the end of the night and they're pissed off, excuse my French, because the house isn't selling as fast as it should. We have empathy to that. They might be packing their kids' kindergarten art in a box saying, I wonder when's going to be the contract? When are we going to get that buyer? It's an emotional process for these consumers. Have some empathy to make sure they fully understand the data. Let's take a look at what buyers chose last 7 days over the subject property on your Zoom, and you scroll through. Here's this listing, show them. This one, this one. That means buyers got in the car and they chose these over the subject property. Sellers, what are some of the differences you see? Now, GoGo's point of the seller, then they decide. What the seller then sees is, oh, okay, I'm starting to see the picture. I see that that one had a fully remodeled kitchen. I see that that one had they had done a whole landscaping update to their front elevation, so their curb appeal is much stronger than the subject property. Whatever the case may be, it's not a data dump. You're in dialogue and you're showing them. So in total, there's 7 full data points. Again, GoGo, y'all have this. I can resend it if you didn't get it, but don't worry, you got it. I got to keep it moving so that I can leave a little time for Q&As. It's things like how many active listings, the showing request, and there's some differences that you can go into with all 7. I like agents, I give you the 2 meat and potatoes right up front. You have to be best friends, knowing every ounce of data for the failed listings, know how to flirt the active listings in and out of that failed listing pool, and get really, really, really sharp on what buyers are choosing last 7 days over your subject listing. And again, it's on Zoom or Google Meets. Now let's talk about a few things real quick. How are we on time? Okay, good. I'm doing good. I got a couple things to share and then we'll open it up for questions. What are some of the easy things pros can do before a price reduction? This is super easy, y'all. One thing that I still see to this day, and I gotta say that it just makes the little hairs on my neck curl a little bit, like, oh, stop it, is oddly specific listing pricing. It's 2026, so I'm gonna speak very firmly to you all. We all know how the portals filter listings. If you go to any website in today's day and age, and it's been this way for a long time, nearly the entire time of the internet, you don't search by 99s. You search by round numbers. You search by 450 to 550 or 450 to 500, 500 to 550, 1 million to 1.1 million. Here's the thing. There's still a lot of listings in most markets that the go-to-market price or the price reduction price is marketed with a 997 because sellers feel that emotional pricing should be the strategy.
I remember when I learned this lesson that you can literally lose. So just as Renee said, when you're searching, if it's a lower price bracket, they're searching by 50,000. If it's a higher price bracket, they're searching by 100,000. So what I mean by that, somebody who can afford 750,000 can afford 850, right? So they're usually searching between that 750, 850, right, for $100,000 difference. Somebody who can only afford 100 and I don't know 75,000, they're probably searching between 150 and 200,000, right?
Yep.
If you put your price, let's say you're using that round up number. Let's say you put your price at 149,999.
I can't.
You
It's
lost
so
the whole pool of buyers over $1 because everybody who's searching for 150 to 200,000 is not even seeing your listing.
yes. And here's the
And you
thing,
lose it
GoGo.
over $1.
One or 50 or four, like whatever, $3, whatever the heck they do it. Here's what most agents will tell me when they see this strategy is they'll say, yeah, but, which those two words drive me crazy. Yeah, but the seller told me to.
But
Y'all,
you're
you're
the expert. You're hiring
right.
me to tell you how this works, right? And I can tell you how this works. When I run the search to send it to the buyers, which the buyers more than likely going to have a buyer's agent who's going to run their search. They're not going to run their search from 149,930 bucks all the way to 100 and whatever, right? They're going to run their search from a rounded number. So your listing has to be at that rounded number, or you're going to miss out on a whole pool of buyers.
Yes. So I'm glad you're with me on that.
1,000,000%.
Some
But
of
I
your
may or may not have learned that lesson after a few times I did the $997 trick.
sure, and here's the thing is we're the pros. We need to make sure we're pricing strategically. I'm not saying make the leap to the round number if it's a huge percentage difference. That doesn't make sense. I'm talking about the ones that flirt right around right close by. If you have a property that's somewhere around 495 to 500 and you decide you're going to activate it for like 497, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just go to 500 because what you're doing is you're unlocking the buyers that have the budget for the next price range.
Yeah,
So,
because if you do the 400, right, you're gonna get the buyers from 350 to 400, but you're also gonna get the buyers from 400 to 450, right? If you did the
100%.
if you did the 397, now you're missing all the buyers that are willing to pay from 400 to 450. So always round
Yep.
to that next number.
And it always kills me when I do this class in a condensed version because I'm like, okay, I just have to say this. Either ask me to come back and we can go deeper, but there's so many strategies that for the agent who realizes that there's dollars in the details and who's willing to slow down the process in the beginning to speed up the outcome, there's so many intricate things. One of the things that have made the biggest difference, whether you're sitting on listings and you're about to do a price reduction or you are going to acquire a listing, I'm nudging you all to stop with a few things. Please stop with using abbreviations. Stop with industry jargon. What is industry jargon? It's talking like an agent instead of like a consumer. It's saying sometimes agents will put these highly descriptive words in their listings that only agents use. Don't talk like that. Think about how the consumer will read it. AI and ChatGPT, I hate to break it to you, but if we're using AI and ChatGPT for our public remarks, The consumer can smell it. I'll give you a little homework assignment. Go into your MLS right now, and most MLSs you can search by keywords in public remarks. Search the phrase welcome to. For example, I've done this a couple times. I did it with a whole group when I was out in Austin last week to teach at Austin AHA, which is mostly EXP agents. I did it in real time where I said, pull it up in your MLS in Austin and search these phrases, welcome to. They had hundreds and hundreds of listings that all started like this. Welcome to 123 Banana Street, beautiful, stunning, nestled in the corner, blah, 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 blah. Now, we see it in Orlando too. Now, this is how the Funk collection goes against that, is we pull up the MLS and we show how all the public remarks look exactly the same. We go, hey, look, let me show you a fun trick. Let me show you how many agents use AI lazily. And we go, sellers, there were 1,500 listings in this one market in Orlando that all started with welcome to 123 Banana Street and some kind of version of beautiful, stunning, breathtaking, blah. We said to the first time we did it, we said to the seller, now let me show you one of ours. And the seller was like, wow, you really put thought in your public remarks. These are the details that matter. Photo images. Please remember, you are responsible to stop the scroll. You all know that on social media, you have like GoGo, you'll tell us, wait, like less than a second to grab their attention, right?
We all have the memory of a goldfish, right? So you have 3 seconds to impress them.
Same thing applies to your listings. Listing agents, the photographers are going to give you a batch of photos. There are going to be like 10 outside front elevation shots, all different, all in a row. Then there's going to be 10 kitchen, 10 living room. The stereotypical sales agent will take those images just in the order that they were given by the photographer and they upload them directly over to the MLS. The pro strategically places the top 5 money shots because the pro knows that we have to earn each click. Just like GoGo teaches us on social media, the same thing applies to our photo optimization is you want your money shot, your money shot. You want to stop the scroll. Stop the scroll, and you do that by thinking about lifestyle. So for example, this is a listing that we had a while back in Windermere, and this had fireworks views. It had all these features about the home. We led with the images that would make it very clear, no rear neighbors, right? We showed the money shots up front. This is the other thing I want you to remember when you think about your public remarks is you don't start with 123 Banana Street because when you do your audits on all your portals, desktop and mobile, y'all, all this information that populates on, let's call it Zillow, but check any of the portals. Most listing agents lead with this in the public remarks. Welcome to 123 Banana Street. It's a 5-bedroom, 5-bath, 3690 square foot, single family home built in 1994 with 0.51 acre. Why are we taking that valuable real estate of public remarks and regurgitating the same exact thing that the portals tell the consumer up front? So what you do instead is you say, fireworks view, no rear neighbors, Windermere home, fully remodeled, 0.51 acre. Because for this particular property, those were the biggest items to feature and showcase about the home. Then your public remarks lead with differentiators instead of welcome to 123 Banana Street. See the difference? All right. I have so much more, and yet we find ourselves near the end. So I'm going to leave a little bit of time for questions. And I do have an ask for you all is please make sure to follow me on Instagram for more. That's my only ask. I love the EXP community and I like to be in community with all of you. So that's my ask. While you ask questions, I'm here and I'm an open book.
And your Instagram is, let me just double check. I just tagged you, but I just want to make sure we put it. You have it right here. Perfect.
Yeah.
Renee_Funk.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Love
you
it.
for that.
Thank you so much for being here. We would love to have you back to go more in detail. I did write down super quick. Actually, do you have questions? Is it in the chat or do you want to raise your hand? I don't want to over talk on anybody.
You can do whichever. I did see, I think Billy did Billy have his hand up? I saw some hands and then they went down. Let me see if there's anything in chat. I don't see anything.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add on, it was so much harder back in the day. Now that we have Zoom, right? Like, my gosh, just jump on a quick Zoom for a 15 minutes update. Also, if you don't have an update, here's another thing that you can do. Go to their Instagram or Facebook profile before you call them, right? And then look on their profile and be like, oh my gosh, they're in Mexico, right? And you're going to call and be like, ring, ring, ring. She's like, I don't have any updates, but I just saw that margarita. Oh my, like, I'm quitting. What's the address? I'm coming over, right? Like, just something. So then you keep an eye on their profile. You know, they know that you care about what's going on in their life, and over communicate every time.
Yeah, no, none of this. I'm digging my head in the sand. I was talking to an agent recently that I train, and they're with another brokerage, and they were in horror. And I get it. I do have empathy. But this listing agent said, I'm afraid because the only thing I have left to say is price reduce. And I'm like, don't be afraid. Hit it head on. This is why we earn the big buck opportunity, right? So if you're an agent who's sitting on a listing, let's say you acquired a listing and some conditions in the market change, don't worry. Call it out and just go back to that seller and say to all deciding making parties, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, could it be possible that we regroup? A few things have changed in the market, and it's really important that I make sure I put this in front of you. You need to see this. When would be a good time over the next 7 days for all three of us to meet either in person or on Zoom? And what this regroup re-strategy meeting is, for those of you in this scenario, is this is a little baby mini listing consult. It's like a state of a union. You come back together. Here's what the market is telling us. Here's three scenarios we have. Here's how we can make our next step. It is matter of fact. And I know sometimes it gets tough because we as agents never like to deliver bad news. However, agent friends,
You
we
see,
just,
I used to put a spin on it. I used to put a joke on it, right? So if you get a listing that is overpriced from the get-go and they are not budging, you have two options. Today, I wouldn't take it. If we are light years apart, I wouldn't take the listing because when somebody in the future is going to look up your days on market, if you take a listing that was so overpriced that's going to adjust your days on market, you're going to show like your property set on the market for 300 days at a time just because you took an overpriced listing. So today, what I know today, I wouldn't take an overpriced listing if we are light years apart. But if we just a little bit apart, like we are talking less than 10% of value, which is a lot, by the way, not $300,000, it's 30,000, right? But let's just say if it's less than 10%, I always have this conversation with them up front and I throw a joke at it. I said, hey, here's what I would recommend. And you hire me because I'm the expert, but I listen to you. We can try your way for 2 weeks.
yep.
But after the 2 weeks, if we don't have the amount of showings, or if the feedback says that it's overpriced, at the 2 weeks, we are having a conversation, and you have to allow me to tell you, I told you so.
I love that.
And
And
at 2 weeks, guess what I'm doing? I'm calling them and I'm like, okay, you ready? Put me on speaker because I want all of you to hear it when I say, I told you so.
yeah.
Right? Because
And
I get to
also,
correct you.
you talked about relatively, I'm not trying to naysay the 10%, but you talked about a relatively reasonable discrepancy. If it's a small amount, to GoGo's point, it actually leads us to bring us home too, is this is the season that we're all in the industry for the strong agent to realize this. When you walk up to the next listing appointment as an agent, you press the doorbell, you know the drill. You take a step back so you're not right in their face when they open the door, and you stand there. And the smart pro stands with confidence, and you remind yourself, I'm going to walk into this opportunity. I'm going to say to myself, I'll lead with curiosity. My goal is to learn from these individuals on the other side of that door. What are they aiming to achieve and by when? I will walk in because I'm the pro, and I will decide after I've learned about what they're aiming to achieve and by when, if I'm going to acquire the listing because I'm committing to this business opportunity, not walk in, shaky knees, and see if they're going to hire me. No, you're the confident one. You know the data. You've done the work before the work. You're the pro. You walk in with confidence. And I will nudge some of you, if you've had a license less than 5 years, because there are a lot of you in the industry, please know that you're capable, you're strong, you're smart. Sometimes, though, less than 5 years may mean that you don't have a certain skill at context from 10 years ago to know that this market is very normal in a lot of ways. If that's you, you're capable, you're strong. Get a boost from another agent who's been around for like 10 years. Before your next listing consultation, if you feel like a little unnerved and maybe you just need a boost of confidence, call another agent who has seen a market with escalating days on market, 10 years, 15 years, and say, what tips do you have? Sometimes agents,
Take them out for lunch, pay for their lunch,
yes,
and they'll teach you what you need to do. The only reason they know that because they have 10 years on you.
that's right. It doesn't make them better. It makes them have a gift of context that you haven't yet earned. You got this. You guys are badasses. You got it.
Thank you so much. It's 2 o'clock and I have another meeting. I gotta go. Thank you so much, Renee. I appreciate you so much, everyone. This is recorded. It will be posted into our YouTube channel for later. And Renee will reach out to have you back in the future.
Thank you, GoGo. Merry Christmas
Thank
to
you. Merry
everybody.
Christmas. See ya.
Bye.